Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Catholic ReCon Testimonies from Reverts and Converts. I'm your host, Eddie Trask. Please subscribe, please share, please comment, please like, do all those great things. Really appreciate it. This week's guest is John Levi. So if you remember, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, probably, I interviewed C26 of Foundation. John Levi is a member of Foundation, so go to foundationfamily.com. John is an American Southern hip hop artist born and raised in Tampa, Florida. I'm not going to say everything because he's going to tell us about that, but I think this part is really cool. He offers no apologies, bringing a deep psychological approach to revealed truth and how it applies today, with his bachelor's in psychology and a master's in counseling and applied behaviors analysis. I also want to mention his website, formarksmusic.com, where you can learn more about John and everything that he is up to, and we'll talk about it as well. John, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Eddie. It's my honor, man. My pleasure, my honor. Grateful to be invited. So thank you.
Oh, same here. Same here. I don't know if you heard this, but I was at that youth conference in Idaho, and I probably caught 2 minutes of your story because I was manning a booth, so I couldn't stay and listen. But what I heard was fantastic, and so that's what led me to approach, your foundation table and got to meet Carlos. And anyway, I really look forward to this, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. So, John, how did your faith journey begin?
Sure. My faith journey in the Catholic faith, it began, gosh, man. So late 80s, early 90s. Actually, gosh, this goes back before me even being born. So my grandmother and my grandmother's mother, they were Catholic. It's rare. It's already rare, African Americans being of the Catholic faith. I think it's like 5% of all Christians or something like
Was
that
this
right now.
was this all in Florida, the grandparents? And
Southeast of Florida,
yeah,
Mississippi. There's a big like Black Catholic religious order, like Holy Family nuns.
heard of that.
So it's just crazy stuff, right? Because just the thought of obviously knowing the history of like slavery and all that other stuff, many people have assumed faith through that whole situation, right? Whether it's slave owners, whatever you want to call it, right? At the end of the day, I know that my grandmother's mother picked up her faith through the Holy Family nuns, and that alone was probably countercultural, especially for African Americans to, but it was something that I know my grandmother's adamant about, and to this day. So in Louisiana, kind of like the Southeast, Alabama, Mississippi, um, she kept that faith. She kept it, and she went through a number of trials herself, and then all the way down to having, gosh, man, what's my uncle, two aunts, um, and miscarriages, you name it. But her Catholic faith meant a lot to her, and then she, gosh, man, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going back a little bit
No,
further,
it's
but
good. That's good
I
because I
always
think
cut
it's
off that part. Yeah, and I feel
it's
bad because every
yeah.
time I talk to her, and I realize, like, wait, this wasn't even just my mom. This wasn't her. This was even before her. So, but that's the beauty of it, is that they handed it down and they knew there was something so important with the Catholic faith, even if, many African American folks were just not into the Catholic faith like that. And of course, the church has its history with slavery, right? And African American uh, uh, populations, and they're many people in institutions have their guilt and their part in the way people were mistreated. But the Catholic faith has done many things to help right those wrongs as best they can, right? You can never undo those things, but and that includes, right, the number of schools or the religious orders that were founded to help these people.
Yeah.
And same goes for many different races and cultures. But so with that being said, these nuns of the Holy Family, they raised my grandmother's mother, and then my grandmother, and then my mother and her aunts, and her sisters, my aunts and my uncles. So and that was the whole Latin mass thing, right? They learned Latin, they knew Latin, they do it was that traditional Tridentine mass. So it all started there. That stuff, it started there. And so I was born, it was my mom and my dad. Crazy story. My mom was a prison guard. Her and my dad were they're correctional officers. So they worked
Okay.
in prisons up in Lorton, Virginia. It's like a small town with about 4 or 5 prisons there. And my mom always just, law enforcement was her thing, and same with my dad. So they met up there. They had their differences. He ended up staying up there. She came back down to Florida to be closer to my grandmother. So they split, and my mom essentially raised my sister and I on our own here in Tampa, Florida. Um, but my dad's awesome guy, and as God rest his soul. In his last years of being alive, me and him really kind of were able to mend uh, just just a crazy situation, right? Get an understanding of one another, and he ended up coaching me and helping me quite a bit in his, I would say, last 10 years of life. Uh, and I just always knew to not have any hard feelings about why or how they split. But with that being said, and who knows? I mean, as far as I know, the Catholic faith may have been one of those extra things that added to it. So an interfaith relationship. And my father's from the West Virginia, the coal mining town called Anawalt, and that's that's Bible Baptist, Protestant faith formations, same Jesus Christ and everything, but the rituals, the rituals aren't the same. We all know this; these things are just totally different. So I'm sure that probably played into the rift as well with her. Sorry, with
Yeah.
my mom, my dad. So with all of that being said and kind of set up for context, my mom knew that as a single mother raising myself and my sister, that we absolutely needed to have the same faith foundation, the Catholic Faith Foundation, and she made it happen. Even when tuition was outrageous, whatever it was, she would write the diocese and essentially beg for help and say, I need to have my children in these schools and get their sacraments. And looking back on it all, the sacrifices she made, crazy. I can never repay this woman, man. Like,
Wow.
yeah. So
That's incredible. And so, actually, I'll save that question for later. Do you remember, were you surrounded by Catholics, like your friends, or were you with hanging out with Protestants? Did you understand the differences between the two at the time, or you just said, I'm Catholic and I'm here, I'm at mass. This is all I
sure.
really am concerned about.
Yeah. So it's a pretty conflicting situation, right? So in the heart of the city, downtown, I'm going to a Catholic school. My sister and I are going to a Catholic school. Salesian sisters, the Salesians of Don Bosco, much love forever to the Salesian order, the most beautiful people ever. And they created this environment for us to learn, love one another, learn about God, learn about the sacraments. So we're going there for school, but of course, there's only a handful of African American students there. So it always felt a little awkward. It's like, okay, why does no one else look like me? Why do we do these things that are kind of weird? They feel good, they feel holy. But they were always there to answer the questions, right? I remember picking the nun's brain. I would ask him so many questions about heaven, hell, you name it. I would ask him so much. I would ask him stuff about the priesthood, becoming a priest. I'd be like, wait, like, are they like really special people? Like, what happens to them when they die if they give their whole life here? So I remember them saying, like, John, you're asking a lot of crazy questions. This is like fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade. But of course, altar serving as well, you start getting in that reverent environment, that holy environment, and you respect holy things. There's something higher than what we're experiencing as humans. So I think even altar serving, huge moments of God interacting with myself and my buddies, in school. So, but with that being said, I'm going to school with those kids who don't necessarily look like me, but these are my buddies, these are my best friends. um, and then come summertime or after school, I'm going to maybe the Boys and Girls Club or the YMCA, where those kids don't have that same formation. Like my sister and I showing up in school uniforms from the local Catholic school, and all the other kids are hopping off the bus from public school. We're all getting there. We're all having fun. We're just kids having a great time. But they're like, oh, you go to one of those schools. So you get teased a little bit. And now the conflict's there. So it's like, dang, man, like I'm kind of embarrassed about this a little bit, or I don't know how to feel about this. And as you grow up, you just is one of those things. And it's like, oh, you're one of those, or oh, you go to those schools, or oh, So so with that being said, but then again, you learn about beatitudes and stuff like that. And I'm thinking like, man, am I being persecuted for God right now? So I'm like trying to add it up, and I'm like, what am I experiencing? But I know I couldn't abandon it, right? Because it always brought me joy, right? It always brought me joy. It always brought me consolation. Being raised by a single mother, and of course, you want to do what everyone else is doing, and at that point, you do start getting introduced to stuff like, the popular music, rap music, whatever it is, so because you don't want to be the kid who's totally left out, that's not totally.
Yeah.
So that's where the music and media culture starts to come in slowly. Um, so you just end up living like this dual situation. It's like, okay, yeah, I can be holy when mass starts and when I can take communion and do all this other stuff. And then it's like, no, but I got to know every rap lyric and what's going on in the rap world or in the movies,
Yep.
right? Action figures, everyone's getting shots. Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like all the, it's like, it's just crazy American
So
culture, man.
was that so that was really starting to happen in high school?
That was happening middle school. Yeah, I would say middle school. My buddy Jimmy, he's in my neighborhood here in Tampa Heights. Like we had a magazine. It's called The Source. So one of the biggest hip hop magazines
Yep.
ever. And yeah, man, you can just learn about everything about hip hop, what's going on, what makes a cool rap verse, what makes things popular, who's got the latest albums. That now at this point you start seeing 90s, 96, 95. You're like, oh man, Tupac's a man. Oh man, the West Coast hates the East Coast. This is crazy. So like you couldn't get enough. That was like the height of hip hop too. So you had to be in the know. You needed to know every second who just dropped a video, who had an album. My mom didn't allow any of that stuff in her house. So I kind of was sneaking to hear it. And I'm just,
Wow.
my dad, I maybe spent a summer or two with him. I probably only saw him like 6 times between the age of like I don't know, between the age of like 8 and 18. Maybe I saw him 4 times total. But when I'd hang out with him, he'd buy me all the rap albums. We were talking about it today, and she'd come in there, she'd be like, what are you listening to and where'd you get it from? And she'd just take it all and throw it all out.
Yeah, you know that explicit lyrics
Yeah, yeah,
label
yeah.
pretty well. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
with her being law enforcement, yeah, oh gosh, man, she was only trying to protect us. She was doing her best. She did as good as she could, and but so yeah, with that being said, I mean, middle school, then high school rolls around. I always tell people this: football was huge. Like sports kind of was like that other kind of like that insulating factor, almost like another parent that did give me some of that discipline, did give me some guidance. It gave me some goals to look forward to. Yeah, I want to go to a high school. It's going to help me get to a college. Maybe I can help my mom pay for my college and get a scholarship. And so I was, I'm a dreamer, a dream. I could always see stuff but I just never fully involved God in the equation. And I always tell my kids now, like, man, if that's something, if I could redo it all, I mean, that would be it. I would help him supercharge everything that I ever put my mind to. But you don't understand those things until you're,
No.
later in life. So, so
So when you got into the, I guess, secular culture, you're listening to these lyrics. Do you believe what a lot of people believe, that the themes that you were hearing, the lyrics that you were memorizing? So obviously you're not memorizing Bible verses, I'm assuming at that point. I think I talked to Carlos about this too. So you're getting lyrics, cuss words, certain themes that are just pumping through. Did you see that just culminating in your actual life? Like, okay, this is the way to live. I've heard it. It seems to be a better route or a cooler route according to the peers that you have.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So as a yeah, like I said, like younger in the younger days, middle school, my mom could keep a better eye on what was going on in the neighborhood or she knew the kids who were gang banging and all that other stuff, and she'd tell me the ones, don't hang out with this one. Hey, I think that stuff he has is stolen. Hey, don't bring any of that stuff in this house. So I was like, man, okay, sounds like she knows what she's talking about. Or, but we're still listening to the music. The music's telling you to do all this stuff, all this crazy stuff, and you better be the dude with all who's cool enough, the swag, to get the girls. You better be on your paper chase. You better be running after this cash, or you are not a man. You are not a man. You are no kind of anything if you aren't looking for the money, the girls, selling the drugs. If you're not doing it all, you're absolutely nobody. Like I said, the football, the sports are one. I always felt like, okay, cool, but if I can just play these sports well enough, it seems like that'll make people leave you alone a little bit, because like, oh yeah, he's an athlete. He's kind of protected. He can't mess up. Like he's going all the way. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
I would even have family at our reunions and stuff. I remember coming back to one reunion. They're like, "Man, we just knew you were going all the way." Just because I always had a build with me, I was then I got into lifting weights a lot. So it's almost like that was the thing where people were like, "Oh, football's his thing," you know what I mean? And but he also understands the culture. He likes hip hop culture or whatever. So I will say that's why to this day I do feel like God did use something like football to kind of uh
Mhm.
yeah, it's weird. He does all these weird things, right? But sadly, I got a football tattooed on my shoulder because it was the only thing I had. It was like, we didn't have a lot of, buddy or anything. Got a single mom raising us. But man, you came alive when the game was on, from little league all the way to high school. High school came around. Now it's like if you can actually produce on a football field or something, or make the team or start, like it brought you some of what they promised you in the music, right?
Ah,
Like people are watching you, like you're the man. Hey, you hear your name on the intercom, or you're the player of the week, or you're in the newspaper. So it's like, but so it, so
yeah,
it's
it was, yeah, like in a sense, satisfying that desire so that it kept you, like you said, protected in a sense from those other
correct,
things.
correct,
Yeah.
because now you've got teammates and stuff. You can't let them down, and
Yep.
they're kind of looking after you, but for the purpose of playing the game. You've got coaches who are on you, who essentially are like who are like father figures
Yep.
built in. So it's like, okay, thank God for the sport. I definitely see where that, if that wasn't there, I would have been off the rails like a little bit sooner. And I say that because eventually the sports would fade away, and then all so
So with that, did you go on to play college
I
football?
did.
Okay.
So and I couldn't see past that. Like freshman year, eighth grade year, sorry, in eighth grade going into high school, I just said I just need to get to college. I never even saw myself going to the NFL. I said I'll try it if it's for me, but I already understood how hard that was going to be, because I had friends I played with Little League. Uh, we had maybe two or three guys from our Little League team who went all the way,
Wow.
and they were only making the practice teams, and they were the best of the best here in Tampa. And even they would come back and tell the rest of us, like, y'all, it's hard. I would see them later while working in nightclubs and stuff, but they're like, you know what? When I'm in Tampa, I actually just stay with my mom, or hey, I've been on 3 teams in 3 years. Like, it ain't all that, man. I'm just, that crushed me, but because we knew that those guys were, I saw my buddy, JR, he was playing in the Super Bowl with the Eagles against Tom Brady. I'll never forget that. So, this is Little League all the way up to, I'm 21 at that point, and I'm just jumping around just a bit. But so in high school, it was just like, get out of high school, get a scholarship, and you're the man. And you're the man. You'll get to experience everything, the party, the girls, all the other stuff. Just make it through. And I always did bare minimum academically, never dove into the coursework, just did whatever I needed to do to play, because I knew the scholarships would be there. And it just doesn't help that like schools are sending you letters, you're starting to get contacted, you name it, man. Just you name a school, and they, you just the stuff starts flooding in. They pull you out of class. Some of the recruiting coaches talk to you, so you're just like, we're the man. We're the kings. We're the gods. Like
Oh,
everyone
shoot.
bows to us. Like, and of course we're listening to the craziest music to get hyped for the games. Like DMX was big for me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of artists. There's a lot of artists, and it was just um Pac, so Tupac, DMX, all that stuff, and yeah, and it didn't help. I met some of these guys in the mall one time at the Tampa Mall next to our school, Tampa Catholic here, and I'm just starstruck, and I'm just like, these are the guys. They're raised from some of the similar neighborhoods. Drugs are all around, everything's all around, but I'm gonna make it out. It's gonna be sports, is gonna be my thing. But and then meanwhile, it's like, are you Catholic though? Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I received a wafer. Yeah, we got mass today, school mass. We got a team mass. Oh yeah, yeah, I'm Catholic. Oh yeah, they, you know, we're all Catholic, and then we go cursing, getting crazy later. So,
Yeah.
so junior year, senior year rolls around. Some of the schools stopped um looking at me as close because they saw my grades are teetering between eligible and ineligible. A few of the schools said, we'll hang in here. If you actually graduate, we'll give you, a scholarship. You hang in there. Had a pretty rough senior year. Our coach left our team. He had, for whatever reasons, our team split in half. Some of them followed the coach to another school. Some of us stayed. So some of us didn't come off the field senior year playing both ways. So I didn't plan on that coming. Like that so God, all these little things that God permits and we don't know who we are until these situations go down. So a lot of my looks went away, but a few schools stayed, and they said, just hang in there, and you graduate, you got a scholarship. So believe it or not, the best situation though is it's like a probably about a 80% scholarship. I mean, um, so the D1s fell away, D2s, a couple D3s, and then there was these NAIA schools. I'm like, what's NAIA? And a guy from Tampa Catholic, my high school, he went there the year prior. He said, dude, come here. It's in the middle of nowhere, but he's like, we beat everybody. We crushed. He's like, this coach is taking all the D1 rejects and he's putting them all on one team. He's taking guys kicked off of top 10 teams. Trust me, if he wants you up here, get up here. We win every year. He showed me his ring. So I'm like, and it happened to be a Catholic school. I know. And I'm like,
That's
who doesn't want to
awesome.
win? I'm like, I want to win again. Let's just keep winning. I need a big old ring. Um, so believe it or not, okay, the school was Benedictine College in Atchison, Kansas.
What?
And it wasn't a fraction as Catholic as it is now. And now I play this through my head now because I see how Catholic, how beautiful, how amazing that school is right now. But everyone knows just a number of years ago, it was Catholic in name only. Wet campus, craziness. It was all about football. It's,
Wow, I
shout
didn't
out to
know that.
Coach. Yeah,
Wow.
it was this was before 13 more dorms went up and all that stuff. But it was just a little football town, right? Little party houses everywhere. The game town comes out for the game. The coach, it was great. I mean, it was great. It was everything I thought like college and stuff would be. But when you soak that stuff up, you're not focused, not disciplined. You look up, grades look crazy again, or no
Wow.
discipline. And I was in and out within a year. All the drinking, the party, and the crazy stuff. Meeting friends. I mean, the guys I keep in contact with to this day. Meeting guys from all over the country, and we're just bragging about how good we were in high school. But you get to college and everyone's good, right? They bring you in there. There's four more guys they brought in there for the same position, and you're all just duking it out. So
It's
now,
so true. I mean, I didn't
yeah,
play college sports. I tried, but I didn't. But I just think of that line, like everyone wants to go back and talk about how good they were
yeah,
in, in high school. Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
It's sad. Yeah. I think at that point, I slowly started seeing like, wait, we're getting old. You know what I mean? And my buddies were in the dorms up there at BC. We would always talk. We would have these Sunday night talks where we're like, y'all, we're getting old. Like, man, like, are we going to keep in contact? We're going to be married with kids eventually. It was like the most depressing thing ever, but it was cool to talk about it. But I think at that point, it was setting in that we're not kids anymore.
Yep.
And the chances of us going to NFL or anything, those are almost all but gone. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I just need to get back to Tampa. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm a city boy. I'm in the middle of country. I'm gone, homesick, gone for too long. And but in hindsight, I do wish I did finish at BC, at Benedictine College, and but we got the ring, all that
Did you
stuff. And
really? Yeah, that's what I was
yeah,
gonna ask you.
got a huge ring in there. We went to Final Four. Actually, that was probably one of their most successful football years. They went to the national championship, national championship, about 4 or 5, maybe about 7 years ago. I actually brought my son. The game was in Daytona, a couple hours away, but and it's cool because all the old guys were there. We had our big old rings, but we're just old in the stands, and we're just so um So, but after 1 year, yeah, I just came back home to Tampa. I just still wanted that high of like,
Yeah.
the parties, the clubs, being around the rappers and all that other stuff. And I'll say this one last thing about Benedictine College while I was up there. I went to mass maybe one time in that year, maybe one time. And the reason I remember, and it hurts now looking at it, and I, I know God forgives me now, but it's because my mom would always call and she'd be like, "Hey, are you going to mass? Are you going to mass? Are you going to confession?" And I'm just like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm gonna have a chance to, or I'm gonna go up here and whatever she wanted to hear, right? Just but I just was not going. I mean, that's my faith. It went away. Of course, in high school, you're kind of forced per se to go to
Oh,
mass. They have like the mass
yeah.
days or whatever.
Yeah.
But now in college, it's just like no one's gonna say, "All right, everyone." Maybe they do it now. I hope they do as a team or whatever. But so really, kind of like that regular reception of the Eucharist. Um, you name it, just being surrounded by holy things. I mean, you can totally avoid that on a Catholic campus, in college, on a college campus, because it's so big, and
Yep.
you're on your own. So I think the one mass I went to, I remember it threw me off pretty bad because we're in there, and I remember seeing some of the all the people who we just saw at the party, and I remember thinking, like, wait, man, this is God, it's what it is. I'm just giving y'all the raw truth right here. You're looking around, you're like, dude, y'all were just doing keg stands. Shoot, I was doing keg stand. Now we're up in here praying, like,
Yep.
in the Eucharist, and it's like, what? It's just, so it's, yeah, we're all Catholic, it's all good. And it's just like, and I didn't realize how big of an issue that was then. I just thought maybe
Yeah.
that's so, yeah, so but yeah, looking at those folks in mass, I'm just like, okay, now this is a little weird. Like we were like passed out last night. Now we're all in here, like so.
Well, and that's been I've heard that many times. It's like a common joke about Catholics. It's like, okay, well, Saturday night, you're anything but Catholic. And then all of a sudden here you are like this.
Yeah,
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 everyone can
yeah,
put on the facade. So,
yeah.
okay, so you're back then going through all that. So wait, but then you were
Yeah.
still
And
playing
sorry, man. I'm
football.
in the garage. I'm like kind of in a garage setup. There's no AC, so the
Oh,
Tampa Heat is
the
like,
Tampa Heat is
but I'm having a good time, so we're good. But go
that's
ahead.
good. Yeah, no, no, no. I was gonna say. So then you ended up playing the remaining years of you continued with college football, right?
My football dreams, everything died with me leaving Benedictine College.
Oh, okay.
I didn't understand the eligibility process. I came home to Florida, went right to the university right away. I talked to Coach Jim Levitt for University of South Florida Bulls. Shout out to him, man. He turned that program around. They were ranked number 2 in the nation. Went right up to him, and he's like, I'm aware of Benedictine College. And I was showing him my ring. I'm like, can't wait to come play for you. He's like, great, son. I can't wait. This is awesome. You went to Tampa Catholic. Great. Go down to this office, talk to this woman. She's going to get your credits all together. When I brought my transcript and everything. The woman looked at it and she's like, there's like one class I can take on here. And that's when I realized, yeah, I wasted a year up there goofing around, partying, being dumb. And the transfer wouldn't go through. I would have had to go to the community college. And then without football and the eligibility clock was just ticking the whole time. So I was like, pride and everything. I'm just like, well, forget football. And I was like,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm a man anyway. This is dumb. So with that being said, now I'm back at my mom's house. She's like, you can't come in here. You can't hang out to X amount of hours, do whatever. You're gonna have to move out at some point because my rules are still the same. I respect her to this day for that. So found a roommate and then I'm working regular jobs, maybe in the mall or something. I don't know. Uh and then what where this really got crazy is that I start working in the nightclubs here in Tampa as a bouncer, working nightclub security. And then that's when the life of sin, it just devolved into this crazy abyss of just like, man, I am grateful to this day that God did not let me perish during those years. So for about 4 years, just fights, you name it, blood, stabbing, shootings, dragging people out of nightclubs, just you know, intoxication, substance abuse, but same thing. I remember this girl one time, I'd worked everywhere inside of this one particular club and I was, if you just were annoyed at somebody, you can just do stuff. And it was just bad, man. It's just bad abuse of power. But this girl one time, she says, you know what? I hate you guys. I'm like, Carl, I'm checking her ID. I'm not even 21 myself, and I'm checking this girl's ID. She's like, I hate you guys. She goes, you guys, you act like you're gods or something. And I'll never forget that. And because I'm like, you know what, get out of this line. You're not coming in here tonight. I like threw her ID on the ground. And it was just this, I was annoyed and I was just in that whole, it was nuts, man. It was like it was really bad. And but I'll never forget that. She's like, you guys act like you're gods. You treat us all like, and I'm just like, dang. So I mean, essentially, I mean, I saw where she was coming from. All the bouncers, right? We'd all go work out with each other, a bunch of meatheads, ex-football players, and then come in there and just exact this crooked
Yeah.
justice on people. so so I will say this much. So throughout that whole time, God never stopped, man. You know, my mom's prayers never stopped, kind of like St. Monica type deal. My grandmother's prayers never stopped. They were praying for me to get out of that club the whole time. Um, there was this group, Protestant group, that would come around and pray, and they'd come up right up to the door and they'd say, "Hey, do any of you guys want to pray with us tonight before the night begins?" Right? And all the other bouncers are laughing at him, like, "Man, heck no, get out of here." And I always thought like that. God, I'm thinking like, man, I'm not going to say no or anything like that. But these people, they're just asking for a simple prayer, right? They're like, "Oh, you just want us to go to your church or whatever." So, and they wouldn't stop though. They'd keep coming. And then one day I would catch one of the guy's eyes and he's just like, "Hey, would you like to pray with us?" I'm like, "Ah, maybe one day or whatever, you know." And then this one particular night, I was working in the back door of this club. We're throwing guys out of there, crazy stuff, crazy stuff. And then here's that little group again praying with people. And then they're seeing me throw people out. They come up, "Hey, would you guys want to pray with us?" He's like, "Hey, what's your name?" I'm like, "I'm John." He's like, "John, would you like to pray with us, man?" I'm like, "All right, yeah." I'm like, "It's a pretty wild night. I want to make it out of here alive." So I've like prayed with him. I'll never forget praying with this church group and pray like an Our Father, and they're like, "Put his protection over him, Lord." Da da da. They're saying all this stuff, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I like that, man. This is good." But then I'm thinking like, okay, so they pray, and then they're like, "John, would you like to come see a movie with us?" And I'm like, "What movie?" You know, so I don't know, what is this? Oh five, shoot, oh five, oh six, oh five, oh four. And he's like, they're gonna do a screening here at the movie theater by the club, The Passion of the Christ. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I respect Jesus, you know." I was raised Catholic, whatever, and and they gave me 2 tickets, no questions asked, and asked me to go to a church or nothing. I actually ended up bringing my mom to it, and here it was. Me and my mom were watching Passion of the Christ and movies. So throughout the movie, you hear people just whimpering, sobbing, right? Like I'm kind of like holding the
Yeah.
tears, like ah. The lights come on, and then like I guess the church they were playing the guitar in there or something, and everyone's just crying, and I just knew like, dude, I gotta change, man. I was like, I gotta change. Like this is bad. This is this is bad. So and that was it. My mom went her way, I went my way, back to my roommates, and I mean, I was selling drugs, I was doing all kinds of stuff, and while working in the clubs and nightclubs, I'm meeting all the rappers, right? 50 Cent, Juvenile, Cash Money. I'm having to walk these guys to their rooms. I'm standing on stage with them while they're rocking the crowd. So, that's what I think watching that too made me think like, man, like these guys are gods, right? But now the funny thing is a lot of them are shorter in person. I'm like, dude, you look huge on TV. And you get to them and they're like yay tall. And it's like you're looking down on them, like, man, come with me, dude. We gotta go to the VIP room and get you set up. But yeah, they would always put me with the big names, man. And we just walk them to the club, try to keep them safe. And um, so I kind of took a mental note of that, where it was like, here were the guys I always looked up to. Now I'm on stage with them, trying to help them with their protection and stuff, and meeting their crews, and it's just dark nights, man. And but yeah, back to the house, and man, I went from those dance clubs, and then it just got worse, man. And then finally, I was like, I don't want to fight as much. This is stupid. I've been doing it for 4 years. The older bouncers would say, dude, they're gonna, because they saw sometimes I was just going overboard with stuff. And they're like, John, you got to take it easy, man. One of these guys, they're gonna come back for you. They're like, they shot Alvin, they shot so and so, they stabbed. They're
Are
like, the
you
way you,
serious, man?
yeah, yeah. So I'm just like, and I'm counting, I'm start doing my math, and I'm like, how long you been doing it? 7 years. Shot once, 7 years, stabbed, 5 years. So I'm thinking like I'm at year 4 right now. This is my only
Yeah.
job. I'm going to do that. I'm like, something's probably going to happen to me. So but someone told me, they're like, dude, we'll go work in the strip clubs. It's less fighting and it's more money and there's naked women everywhere. And I'm just like, how is my life? How did I get here? Like, So one particular night, yeah, I went and applied at like an adult club or whatever. And you know, the bouncer, sorry, the manager there, he gave me an interview, and he's like, "Wait, you worked at all these clubs? You know this person? You know this guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" And he just takes the application, goes over, makes like 3 phone calls, and I'm watching him through the room. He's making the calls. He hangs up the phone, walks back in. He goes, "When can you start?" I'm like, dang. So apparently at that point, I had a reputation, or they just knew that I took it seriously. I actually worked that job like it was, you know, something that I could do for the rest of my
Yeah.
life. And I was, gosh, they made me head of security at 21 years old. That was nuts because all those guys are older than me, you know, and they didn't even know I was only 2021. um, but so yeah, but during that time at the adult club, I remember having a dream that my mom was reading a newspaper, and in that newspaper it said that a bouncer died in this particular night. And she's crying over this newspaper. I woke up from that dream like, I think I'm done. I was like, I'm done. I'm done. That dream messed me up pretty bad. And I remember the night that I basically told a couple of girls in there, I'm like, I'm out of here. Like, this is finished. I'm like, it's like 21, 22 years old at that point. They're like, "You really quitting?" I'm like, "I'm finished." I'm like, "It's done." Walked out.
How soon after the movie did that happen? Because I know that you were
That
saying
was
after the movie,
probably
you're like,
within a
I'm
year.
done.
Yeah, that was probably within a year, maybe 6 months. I was only at the adult club maybe about 5 months, 5 or 6 months. So, uh, yeah. So, and then my two roommates, they were bouncers at the club we worked at. So, you know, and but yeah, probably within 5 months, I was like, let me try one more thing. I'm gonna go here. It's gonna be fine. It got worse, even more twisted, more dark. You start seeing more crimes committed. You see all this stuff. Then you know, then there's other stuff. I'm thankful to this day that I decided not to do a number of things that were proposed to me. Gosh, to this day, it was just like, man, so this is how evil and twisted, and how easily someone can get roped into a life of crime and not looking back. So, but that particular night that I just finally just got up out of there after having that dream. My dream was huge, man, and
Yeah.
so I just quit there. But then I'm like, okay, so I want Jesus. I gotta find him. I don't know where, how. But then I'm like, man, I was raised Catholic though. But man, I don't know about that stuff. There's churches all down the street. I can pick any one of these, and then I would start going through EW. Sorry, I found EWTN as I'm just flipping through the channels, and yeah, that's when I ran into, like, you know, all, you name it, man. Mother Angelica, Mitch Pacwa, Bennett, Father Groeschel, Benedict Groeschel, you name it, man. And I was just like, and it was crazy, man. It was nuts. It was like, and God, he made me remember all this stuff from being a little boy, but it
Wow.
was the real presence. It was like, it's like, and as you know, we truly believe this is really his body and blood. I'm like, what? But that's a problem. The catechesis, they wasn't really presented like that totally, or even if it was, you got to keep hitting that stuff. You
Yeah.
got to keep emphasizing that to kids, to adults. You got to keep doing it. You got to keep doing it. So I remember I start keeping journals, and I learned how to pray the rosary again, and you know, I'd go pray in the park and all this stuff, and I was unemployed for a while, so that allowed me to actually go to mass every day. So now I'm like a daily, like, communicant, and then that's when I found out that's what these saints were doing. I'm starting to read up on these guys, and they're walking miles just to go to mass. I didn't have a car, so I was walking maybe 2 miles to go to the
Wow.
mass, and um my roommates start seeing what was going on with me, and one of them was like, "Dude, my dad was a youth pastor at such and such Baptist church. I see what you're going through, dude. I support you, man. You've been." And I'm like, "Thanks, man." His name is Adam. I'm like, "Thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man." And he gave me a Bible, gave me a book, Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren, and all these. And but man, something was just coming alive in me. And you know, and there's a couple movies that I watched, and I felt like God was talking through those movies. So there's Passion of Christ, but the Matrix, Constantine, Devil's Advocate. Those three movies answered most of what I needed to know about the fight of good versus evil and in my life. And then I called my mom up, like, "Hey, can I come to your Bible study?" She's at the
Wow.
Catholic Bible study at the church. And I remember going in there, and there's all these old ladies. There's all the old
I'd
ladies.
love to see a picture of that, man. Seriously. How old were you? 23 or
I'm sorry,
24?
22, end of
Yeah.
22, almost 23. And yeah, man. And I just had like two or three questions. But the main guy running it, this elderly Asian gentleman, he knew he was catechized hard. And I asked him like 2 or 3 questions. He answered those questions. I was like, all right, I'm good. And then I was full in, and I contacted the diocese and said, hey, I might just interested in looking at the vocation thing, how that goes. And of course they start hounding me, man. That actually that scared me just a little bit. So I got cold feet. I was supposed to go in that like within that fall. And I said, but what about these remaining student loans from the community college and this and that? They had an answer for everything. So I was kind of getting creeped out just a little bit. And part of me was just like, but I still feel like I might have be called to be a father or something. I don't know. Who knows? But I don't say creeped out. It's just it was just moving too fast. I'm like, this can't go this fast.
Sure.
So and then I
Kind of a
so
big move,
yeah.
kind of a huge
Oh,
move. Yeah.
oh, yeah. But that's my thing, and teachers always told me, they're just like, you're the type. Once you figure it out, you're all in. That's what, and it's just how it is, man.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, so once I connected all the dots, I'm like, oh, okay, this place, there's nothing here for us. There is nothing here, or anything that we could ever want here. Like, we need to chase the person who would give it all to us.
Wow.
Like, this is pointless. Like, there's nothing here for us. I mean, it's beautiful because we just have to bring as many people with us to this place where we're trying to go. The whole redemptive suffering, all that stuff, just the way the Catholic Church looked at it, it's like this makes so much more sense than anything that's ever been explained to me. And I gave other denominations kind of like, the benefit of the doubt and try to see how the explanations there, it just wasn't there. So the magisterium, all that stuff, it made more sense that we need guidance for this stuff, man. You can't just go out here making yourself the Pope to interpret things and um, change rituals or not have honor sacred traditions. And the saints, that's crazy how they get canonized. I remember thinking, that's insane. It's crazy. What do you mean they can't explain these miracles? Like, like these professionals who aren't even Christian or anything. We just have unexplained miracles. Come on, y'all.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's good. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm
Come
like, I'm
on,
done.
man.
I'm done. And I just had
Yeah.
all these journals. I kept all these journals, but I'll fast forward all this in 2 minutes. So fast forward. Now I'm just like, okay, cool. I had a daughter out of wedlock after that. My biggest thing was I can find any girl out here. This is going to be cool. I'm going to explain all this stuff to her. She's going to accept it and live happily ever after. Didn't work like that. Met a girl, cool. She'd go to church with me and stuff, end up finding out we're pregnant, not married. Great, let's get married and stuff. Cool, let's do it. And then one day, I don't totally forgive, and this is water under the bridge at this point, but she more or less said, I'm not into this. This stuff is actually pretty crazy. I'm gonna take the baby. I'm out of here.
Wow.
So I went from being like this close to God to like just devastated. Moved back in with my mom. Long story short, ended up realizing that that was an opportunity to get close to God again. And I was like, and that's when I really got into the Bible and seeing David and seeing just the way he would just call out for God to just come through for him, and just feeling just horrible. But then realizing that, wait, there's always hope. As long as you're alive, man, you got a chance at something. So I'm like, God, make it as good as you can. I know it may not be back perfect, but long story short, I ended up fighting for custody, got custody over my 2-year-old daughter. Out of all the stuff God's ever did in my life, it was that when I got custody of my 2-year-old daughter, even my friends were like, how did you do that? And I was like, do y'all believe me about God now? But a lot of them at that point, they realize they're just like, okay, yeah, you are like really holy, man. You're all into that stuff. So I just slowly start witnessing my closest friends just kind of fade away a bit. But there was single dad, had my little 2-year-old daughter, and then and I really wasn't open to relationships or anything again, but I felt God saying like you'd be wrong not to be open to love again. And then from there, ended up meeting my wife now, and we've had 9 children after. So I have 10 children total. And
What
I've been with
age
my wife
range? What age range? I'm curious.
17 down to 2 now. Yep, 17 to 2.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. If I look crazy or hadn't responded to you in a while or whatever, trust me, man. It's I'm riding the wave, man.
No, no, I was just gonna say you're sweating not from the garage, just from realizing you have all those kids to take care of.
Yep, yep.
That's beautiful,
So
man. That is
yeah, yeah.
beautiful.
I
Wow.
mean, and then I would say top it off out of all of that, at some point working in the corporate world, insurance, being a claims adjuster, all that stuff got me away from the clubs. I found other ways to earn money, a just wage, honest living. But then while working in the corporate world, one of the old priests who tried to recruit me to go to the Salesians, he said, "How are you doing? Haven't seen you in a while." And I told him that this is what's happened. And dude, I got like 5 kids now, 4 kids. He saw me doing raps about Jesus to a youth group. He walked in, he's like, "Wait, I know you." And I'm like, "I know you." And then he's like, "You're out here rapping about Jesus? What happened?" I was like, "Well, after everyone was pressuring me to become a priest, I kind of just like ran." But this is what I do. This is my way of giving thanks back to God. He's like, "This is amazing." He's like, I'm going to call you in a couple of years. And he gave me a call. And he goes, "I'm opening up a high school for underserved like youth and under marginalized communities." He goes, you got a degree now?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got I went back to school, got a degree in psychology and then master's in counseling." He's like, "Man, you'd make like an awesome dean at this school." I'm like, "If you open up the school, I'll go work there." And he did. And I ended up from 2016 to 2022 working at Cristo Rey Tampa Salesian High School.
Wow.
So that I just gave you like the whole thing, man. So
Beautiful. Okay. Well, so you skipped over I guess the beginning of hip hop, Catholic hip hop,
sure.
because even hearing that, which it's not something I was thinking about on a regular basis, but then I saw you guys show up. I'm like, Catholic hip hop. Okay, I want to hear it. How did you get started with that? Did you just realize you had a talent all of a sudden, or everything that you had gone through in your teenage years, early 20s, hanging out with the rappers, you saw the scene, but did you consciously think, well, I saw the bad side of it. What if there's a good spin on this?
Sure. No, great question. And I feel bad. I speeded up the story because I'm looking at the time. I don't know if these are 1 hour shows. That's why I was like,
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Keep going,
uh,
man.
so this is how I'll tell you, it's nuts, man. I'm telling you, it's all crazy. But my thing now is I like, I want just people to experience it, even a fraction of the way I experienced it, right? So whether it's working with the kids in the high school, my own kids, at this point, it's like,
Yeah.
no, like God's real. He's crazy. He's nuts. He's funny. He's hilarious. It's awesome. But sometimes you just need someone to help you see it all. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
with the music, we're in a 3 bedroom apartment. My wife and I, we had what 2 kids at that point, 2 or 3. And I remember thinking, man, I got to earn some extra money. I was working, doing my insurance thing or whatever. I need some more money. Oh, I could start DJing. We were playing a video game. We're playing DJ Hero on PlayStation. Yeah, like so, and DJ Jazzy Jeff on the YouTube video, he goes, "If you get really good at this game, you might want to go get yourself a set of turntables. You might have a calling." Now, remember, I was doing good. I'm beating people online. I'm probably like, I don't know, 26 years old, 27. I'm like crushing people online. And I just remember my love for hip hop was coming alive again. By the way, so yeah, I start going to pawn shops, getting like
There you go.
turntables and but of course, while I'm playing the music, I'm just like, I can't play that. I'm like, I mean, my daughter's like closet in her bedroom, and they're saying the most despicable crap. So here I am, and I'm just like, dang, I actually don't like any of this anymore, like what they're saying. Because I've got kids now, I've got daughters now, I've got, something, and I need to make some money though. And that's what I more or less kind of felt God saying, well, you could do it. You could do it. You know the type of music that needs to be made.
Wow.
You got the skill. And that's I'm like, can I do like nice music? And then not only did I feel like he was calling me to do like Christian music, it was like tell them everything about those sacraments and what it unlocked in you. And I was like, oh gosh. So now I'm like, how do I do this? So I'm like, because I realized that, and this is all through prayer, right? It's not like he's audibly coming down saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
John, do this." It was just like, yeah, it was like, oh snap, you pray, rosary, pray, and it's like, wait, music is just a universal language, period. Hip hop, crazy popular across the world. So yeah, now I'm playing back. Man, I remember I was on stage with Juvenile and Cash Money and 50 Cent and all them, and I'm like, man, why do man, music can really do some stuff. You can get a message across. So then I start taking the instrumentals from some songs and I would just kind of try to do raps. I think the first rap I made just kind of for myself and for God. And it was Shepherd Me, Oh God. Yeah. And I remember trying to flip the hymn from Mass to Shepherd Me, Oh God, be. So I did that for the hook, and then And I'm like, all right, here we go. Let me see if I can actually rhyme words. I'm like, okay, this actually sounds good. And I just recorded on the computer, and I was like, that's when it just hit me. It was like, bam. It's like, you gotta do this. Like, I can't even hide it now. Like, it's a gift that I know God's given me. I can't even pretend like I didn't see that a song just came
That's
together and
incredible.
it's all about him. I'm like, oh man. So I'm like, all right, well, I love, yes, it's whatever. I'm just like, okay, I'll make another one. I'll make another one. And at this point, I'm still, I'm going to adoration Friday night. Sometimes I'd be the only one in there. I'm just like, man, and I'm thinking about when I wanted to be a priest, and now that I'm a dad with 3 girls and all this other stuff, and all the nightclub stuff, the football stuff. And here I am. I'm just sitting there, just looking at that monstrance, right, in the house, and then I had a BlackBerry. I still got this thing. Then one night I actually was writing like a poem or something while I'm looking at the Eucharist and Blessed Sacraments just glowing right there. And that's when I wrote this song called Real Presence. And that 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 song, it's like the Holy Spirit was writing that thing, man. And it was weird. It was just the way it came together. Then eventually I tap out the beat on a old garage band, like a music production software, tapped out the beat, rapped on it, just put it on the internet. And I had a buddy, shout out to Scott. We were at church. I was working at Life Team. I just wanted to give as much as I could. It's like working Life Team, core group leaders. We're having a great time. And I was like, Scott, can you hold this camera, whatever? He kind of held the camera. I start singing the raps, the real presence, put it on the internet, and it just went bonkers. It's at like
Fantastic.
175,000 views now. People were middle of the night, people are commenting on this. I'm praying for you, your family, and everything you come in contact with. I'm like, dang, hey, I'm in Asia. This song's amazing. Oh, God bless the Lord and the sacraments. And I'm just like,
What year was that? When did this happen?
Real Presence was like 2015,
So
2013.
you hadn't met any of the guys yet that are in
Correct,
California, right?
correct. Oh, correct. So now I'm going back on the internet. Who else is doing Catholic rap? So there
Yeah.
was always Fat Mass. Fat Mass was always there. Cool. These guys are out there, boom bap. They're doing their thing. They're rhyming stuff. But it always had its own unique sound. And then I maybe heard Nick first, Nico Santana. He was going by Diversity, and he had a song called Holy Ghost, but it had more or less the beats that I was hearing in the clubs when I was working. So I'm like, it sounded very just like super relevant to like the type of music that was charting. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, so he's Catholic and he's doing it. I'm like, man, I need a better beats like that. And then I found out he was connected with these guys, Foundation. And then the rabbit trail algorithms, right? And it's like, and next thing you know, this video pops up from Foundation called So Hood. And it's got Father Maceo in there. It's got a Franciscan priest. They're hopping around. They got low riders. The speakers are blaring, hear the trunk shake, hear the bass line. This is so hood and Christian at the same time. And I'm in the living room like, dang, dang. Yeah, I ended up having a dream. These guys, I tell them all the time. I had a dream within a week or two after seeing that video that we were sitting at this long conference table and all the guys from Foundation were at the table. And I remember telling them, you guys got to keep going. This is it. You got the sound down. You got the sacraments. You guys are Catholic. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. Just a dream. Woke up and I don't know, maybe a couple days later, Fonzie or Carlos, one of them reached out to me on the internet, said, hey man, we just saw your song about real presence. Would you be down to come do a show with us or something? And I'm like, a show? Like, what are you talking about, man? I'm married with kids out here. I'm making music in my garage, goofing around. He's like, nah, we got a big youth group show, California. You gonna be there? What's up? And I'm just like, I guess, man, then the ticket pops up and all of that. Next thing you know, you're on stage and there's like 1,400 kids, and you're like, what is God doing? And it's real. And it's real. And then we're like, hit the beat. And it's so now, yeah, elements of the life that I lived before. Now here it is. I'm thinking of all the swag and all the stage presence and stuff that I saw with my favorite rappers. And God's got a microphone in my hand, and it's like, sing the songs about the sacraments, do it right now. The kids are right
Yeah.
there. I set this up for you the whole time. You know what I mean? And the beat drops, kids are going nuts, crazy. The parents are running up. Thank goodness the kids, they love this. And it's about Mary and the sacraments. And the rest is history. Get another call, youth group, this, that, NCYC. World Youth Day. The World Youth Day started to blow my mind because now we're like 10 feet away from Pope Francis. And now it's like, okay, this is crazy, God. You go back to prayer, you're like, Lord, really? Really? Like you take these little gifts or whatever and you do whatever. Now I'm looking at the successor of Peter, like, you got to be kidding me. What is going on? Hundreds of thousands of people in this sea of people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, talk about you said 1400 because that was a big deal in your first event, but
Yeah.
you think of the reach of the music just in that setting, World Youth Day. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you think we were on that stage and some of the parishes here in Tampa. I knew some of the youth group leaders, and we're like, they're football fields away, but they've got different screens set up every 100 yards. They got an LED screen. And one of the guys was like, shout out to Justin Lance. He's like, dude, you're on the screen. This is crazy. He's texting me the whole time. He's like a mile away. And he's like, man, we were going nuts. We're like, hey, he's in our diocese. And you see flags from every country everywhere. And but yeah, you just ask, like you said, I mean, like you said in your prayer, you ask God for that humility. You're like, Lord, like I'm a goofball, man. I don't know how you have us up here doing this. I'll do it as long as you want us to do it. But our prayer was always shut it down. If for any reason this becomes about us or
Yep.
weird or name it, we don't want this. Like there's nothing we don't, please, like, take it. But every time we're praying that prayer, we're getting more calls and we're getting asked to do more stuff. And I'm just like, so yeah. So even like this interview, right? You get an email and it's just like, wow, people like like care. People want to hear about this for real.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Well, I think you get it because you were sharing it with all the kids, the power of someone's story. You did not go through all of that garbage in those years just to leave it there and to never talk about it again. You specifically. I'm not saying that's for everyone to go and share, but the number of people that realize, oh man, I messed up. Oh, God's actually going to use
yeah,
that and
yeah,
he's going
yeah,
to redeem the situation. And I pray that I will not drop the ball, basically.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly. Yep. Gosh, if there's one thing you said it, that people who hear this interview or anything I've ever said, they just know, like, no, 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 this is one story out of bajillions, like, but yours is the one that matters.
yep,
Get on your knees tonight, man. It
yep,
can all change tonight. And if you don't know where to start, man, just there's so many resources now and the internet, right? You can use it, it can be used for horrible, terrible things, but it also is spreading the gospel at lightning speed right now. You can learn how to pray the rosary within minutes. You can learn how to pray it in different languages, learn about saints, you name it,
an
angels.
answer to every question you could ever have. I mean, my goodness, at your fingertips. And as
It's all there.
risky as that is, like you said, God's in control. So, like, we
You can
pray
control.
that you will find the video that you need to find. Uh,
Correct, correct. Like this is I'm sitting at my chair here. My mom bought me a number of years ago, but in this chair, this this
yep,
this I had a very it looked probably like this because so in '05 and I'm watching TV and EWTN and I'm still thinking, well, the Bible's still so daunting, man. I'm like, dude, there's so much in there and it's worded in a way. So I would just skip to the Gospels. I would invite anyone. If you want to pick up the Bible, just go ahead and just jump to the Gospels. Just see what Christ himself said, right? The eternal word. Find out what God had to say to us while he was truly present and lived among us. Start there. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
yep,
The other things, everything kind of it's focused on that in that time that he was here. But for me, it was like, okay, I'm confused. I'm confused. I still have more questions. I'm an overthinker sometimes, right? Or I just want to get to the bottom of something, but you can't get to the bottom of God's truth and his holiness and the beauty of the Catholic Church. But I forget where I saw it, but it's like he leaves little breadcrumbs. Someone said, the more you chase him, the more you catch him. I heard that one day and I was just like, so just, run for God. If anyone's listening to this, yeah, chase him. But that catechism kind of helped form like the explanation for a lot of the tradition, the rituals, and
yep.
everything that the church has been doing for forever. And
Not to mention, if you open a catechism and pay attention, and you look at the footnotes and you look at the cross references, you're going to end up with the Bible right next to you, and you're going to see how
Facts.
everything relates, and that's the beauty of it. And then you'll see, this is probably my favorite. Actually, the whole thing is my favorite, but
Yeah.
then seeing a quote from the 2nd century or the 3rd century about a specific doctrine, and then you can see exactly how everything started to form
Yeah,
and how it completely connected to the scriptures.
sure.
That's the part that is just so enlightening to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. It's just
Yep.
wild.
Yep.
So yeah, and I think the way the catechism even started, it more or less just says like, at every point in a man's life, God is drawing nearer, or he like
Yes.
calls man to him. And I'm
Him.
like, whoa. That stuff was hitting me between the eyes, heart, and everything. And I'm just like, no wonder this place seems so empty. I've been chasing just trash, man. Nothing is satisfying me. I don't get it. And because there's nothing that's gonna be down here that'll ever satisfy us, but it's just those things aren't really presented totally that way throughout your life. If things are presented that way for you, you're blessed. If someone breaks
That's
it
true.
down to you and you get it at an early age, oh man, the meaning of life right there.
So true. So true. Yeah, you pray that people do not have to hit rock bottom to recognize how empty the pursuit of the world is.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yet it's the biggest difficulty because you just don't see it like you were I mean, you saw it because of those men that were it started with those guys invited you to that movie.
yeah.
That was a big deal.
Choose. Yeah. I'm grateful, this interview. I was able to hit really all the main things that kept it just stopped time. Those moments stopped time for me and made me think like dang. The only other thing I did leave out of all that was the night or two in jail. That was another all over a
What
missed understanding.
as you were a bouncer or was that at a
Yeah, I
different
was as
yeah.
a bouncer. So some of these clubs are so dangerous. Everyone who worked in there, they all carried. Everyone had pistols, and so I remember I went to work in this one particular club, and my first night there. Sometimes I was working at 2 or 3 clubs at the same time, but this one particular club, right when I got there, head of security is like, man, it's like got a pistol. He's like, where's your piece? And I'm just like, I don't, I don't carry. He's like, you don't carry. He's like, man, you're nuts. They goes, well, so now I'm thinking, dang, I need a freaking gun to work here when we all walk out at night or we got money or
Yeah.
whatever things. So I ended up getting a gun. I didn't get it in the best way, but I did some things to cover myself to more or less. So I more or less, I didn't know that like this particular gun, it absolutely was not supposed to be bought or sold. Let's just say that.
Shoot.
And yeah, and then the day came where I just wanted to sell it. I'm like, I'm not doing anything with this. This is stupid. So I went to go sell it. I drive down the street about 3 or 4 blocks, and cops came out of everywhere, like everywhere. Arrested in the middle. Imagine like big old traffic stop. Everyone's watching, gunpoint. I'm on the ground, and it's like stolen property. It's that they. So by the grace of God, spending that night in jail and just praying some deep prayers in jail. Gosh, they had me in there with the dope traffickers, everything. These guys, they were giving them like no bond, no bail, trafficking, this, that, manslaughter. And I'm just like, what? What?
Oh
I'm
my
like, I'm
God.
done. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. They get to me and they're pulling up my priors or anything. They're just like, how do you and the judge is like, this doesn't even like you belong in here. Like, what are you doing in here? And I'm just like, I pawned a gun. So I don't, it's like, we're gonna release you on your own. How long you been in here? A couple days now, a couple days. You're released on your own recognizance. Don't ever let me see you in here again. He slams the gavel, and I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, dude, you can get up out of here, man. Like, run. Like, so
Run.
I got out of there, man, got all my stuff. And I remember people saying, hey, you coming? And then while I was in there, I'm seeing guys who I've thrown out of nightclubs before and stuff too. So it was just like, I just got to get out of this world. Like, how did I get here? But that was the only other night, yes, sitting in jail, because I do remember praying some pretty serious prayers in there. Um, but they were very, I don't know. I wasn't really looking for God, but I was just thinking like, hey, if you're real, you can kind of come help me now if you don't mind. Like, so,
Oh
but
man.
but yeah, you pray that no one has to go through that. And for my own children and everyone, it's like, don't go through that. Or the kids I work with at the high school, like, you don't have to go through this. Like, you don't have to do it. Like, I'm literally here, like, for a reason to tell you, stop what you're doing now. Or when things start looking like this, they can get worse. Turn around now. Like, so,
Yeah.
so
Yep. Yep, nailed it. John, did I mention the right websites at the beginning? Is there anything you want to mention about? I don't know if you have an upcoming tour or any information you want to share with the
Sure,
audience.
sure. Yeah, no, you hit everything great on there. It's fourmarksmusic.com. Gosh, I'll be more than happy to join any of your churches, youth groups, you name it. Zooms. I'm getting a lot of Zoom invites now. So even if I know sometimes I'll do young adult groups, I'll Zoom while you guys eat your food. No charge. I'm not out here, none of that. I answer the call. So if you guys, if there's anyone out there just want a quick little chat, kind of like here with Eddie, this awesome show, just let me know, reach out. We do have we will be in Toronto, man. It'll be my second time in Canada in 2 weeks with C26, Val Morale, two of the guys from Foundation. I think we were going to be at Little Rock, Arkansas. I think that was gonna not gonna go through this year, and then we'll be back in LA. Go to also to hiphopandtacos.com, food trucks, all of that. We go to all the major cities, set up the food trucks, and we are sharing the gospel with hip hop. There's praise and worship, fellowship, good food, good people. So we're trying to just get this thing going again, a true Catholic hip hop movement. So where it's a situation where if there's someone who loves that genre of music but loves their faith and feels torn, we're trying to grow this
Yep.
thing. If you know more artists, if there's rappers or people who can rap, but they're conflicted with their faith, we're trying to grow and link with new artists and even help develop new artists. There's young people out there in youth groups, and you can rap a lot. You like your music, but your parents don't really like what you're doing. Come to this side of all of it. Trust me, we're looking for new young artists. We will put everything behind you to just get you out there because we're getting old. We're old men now, like, and we've got to pass this torch. So there's that, and then finally, I'll say I am gonna so God blessed me with some awesome news about a month ago, 3 weeks ago. So I'm actually going to be a principal at a Catholic school, a K through 8, starting June 1. And so I've been a dean, I've been an assistant principal, I've been a guidance counselor, and an interim principal, but this will be my first principalship. Please keep me in
Yep.
prayer, because God's going to allow me to reach the kids even younger and just form them to send them out into life. And I don't even feel worthy, but this is what he does, man. He does whatever he does whatever
Dude,
he wants. So
I think we're gonna I'll end with a prayer for that, man. That is big news. I'm really happy to hear that.
yep, just found
Thanks.
out, gosh, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago today. Oh, I'm beat today, but I knew I wanted to do this interview, man, because so today I was at 2 graduations. I was at one for the outgoing eighth graders at St. Peter Claver Catholic School, and then I was at my own eighth graders graduation. So I was at two separate graduations today. I had to do a Zoom for my credentials for principalship at 8, but I was not gonna miss this one, man. We're here, and I'm grateful, man. So yeah, any prayers are more than accepted.
Yeah, we'll end with a prayer. I want to thank you. I want everyone to know I appreciate you guys watching this. And John, you had a lot of energy considering how busy your day was, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it because yeah, we're all very busy and we're all trying to get the message out there, get the testimonies out there. So I appreciate that very much. So we'll close with a prayer. In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father, thank you for John. Thank you for his brothers and for his family. We pray for your grace to come to him so dramatically in his new role. It starts at the beginning of June. And we pray for every intention of his and his wife and their kids. Pray for the movement that he was discussing and for all the people that are listening that may be conflicted and are looking for answers. We pray for all of them. We pray for your grace over all of their lives and for their families as well. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless you, my friend. We'll
Hey,
chat
thank
at
you,
some
man.
other point. Yeah, take
Much
care.
love, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
All
All
right.
right, take care.
Peace.
Peace.